Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Flix, fellas. We have a guest here today that we're super excited about.
Woo.
Andy, happy to have you on.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
No, thanks for joining us. What's it called? In addition, we have Joey and Kevin, the normal Flix fellows, which we are also excited about.
Hello.
But I'm not as excited as to see them as see Andy. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm not either, so you're good.
Andy hosts Fat Dude Digs Flix. You can find him at Fat Dude Digs Flix, no spaces, on Instagram, and Fat Dude Digs Flix, all spaces, on anywhere you could receive podcasts, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go check him out. Really funny, really interesting stuff. Very in-depth and far more intellectual conversation than we have here on this show, but Andy's here.
Listen. I'm like, I'm dumbing myself down today, I guess. No, that's a dick thing to say.
It's okay. It's true. It's okay.
It's true.
My podcast isn't that smart. We just like to talk and we don't know how to shut up. So
yeah, I feel like
That's like us. That's just like us. Yeah. We just cut each other off when they start talking way too much. We're just like, all right, enough of you.
Like, you're done. Done.
Well, today, we are watching, we watched, I would hope, the movie Kimi, an HBO Max original, starring, hold on, I have the wrong page open. Starring, I know who's starring it, but I want to get everybody's names because I'm awful at the names.
There's like
I
three
know.
people in the movie, right? You could have memorized this, dude.
I have messed it up so many times. Starring Zoe Kravitz, Byron Bowers, Rita Wilson, Erica Christensen, and then a slew of other characters, but this really is kind of a tighter cast in this movie, and other than really a main few characters, there isn't a large length of time that you see a lot of other people. So, like, really focused around.
Who are we kidding?
Yeah,
This
it's
is
Zoe
Zoe
Kravitz.
Kravitz.
Yeah,
It's the Zoe Kravitz show.
yeah, it's Zoe Kravitz 90% of the time. So, but this movie, it happens. This is one of the only movies that I think I've seen that happens during the COVID-19 pandemic. It takes place in Seattle with an agoraphobic tech worker who discovers the evidence of violent crime while reviewing a data stream. After met with some resistance through the bureaucracy of her company, she tries to get involved where she must face her greatest fear, venturing out of her own home. So this one, it was very interesting. And for first reactions, let's start it off with Joey. How you feeling, Joey?
I was conflicted about this one. I liked it. It felt kind of like Hitchcock vibes, the way they shot it. Felt like Rear Window, and just it felt much more like a psychological thriller. And I went into this one not knowing anything about it. I thought it was going to be like a ninja action movie. Had no idea it was like a tech movie. So, it's short, but it feels very long. So that's where I struggled with, because I at some point thought that this should have been over by now, or more should have happened earlier. So I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I am on the fence right now. I don't know what my decision's going to be, but I'm excited to talk about this one because I think I could be swayed either way. So I'll kick it over to Andy.
Ooh, I had a lot of fun with this one, and I think it's because there are those Rear Window vibes going on here, and I really, Rear Window is probably one of the first Hitchcock movies that I had ever seen, so it really gets that feeling throughout this whole movie. I thought Zoe Kravitz was fantastic. If the movie has to rest on her shoulders for an hour and a half and you really have to invest in her character and what she's going through, I thought she did a fantastic job of carrying this movie. I didn't feel like it was super long, but there were moments where the pacing was just really it was going, and then it had these beats here and there where it was just kind of like, all right, let's pick it up. And maybe we'll talk about more specifically in spoilers what really kind of put a damper on there for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was a ton of fun, especially for a straight to HBO Max movie. I had a good time with it, and I don't think this would have had a very successful theatrical run. It just doesn't have those like the meat on its bones for that, but for something you can just kind of chill out and watch at home, I had a good enough time with it.
Yeah, I agree with Andy. Actually, funny enough, same as Joe. So, Andy, we like to, when we watch these movies, like if someone picks a movie, like me, I think James does too, and definitely Joe, we try and like not watch any trailers.
Yeah.
Like completely avoid everything. And so I thought the same thing, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't my favorite movie I've watched recently. Same thing. Zoe Kravitz was awesome. I was gonna say the same thing, Andy. The pacing felt a little weird at some points, but I think that's a little bit of like Steven Soderbergh. Like at least other than like the Ocean's movies, they can kind of get a little longer.
Yeah.
The ones that I've seen. So I like kind of chalked that up to that. And then that was my first thought was like, this is just Rear Window. But I kept comparing it to the other like Rear Window ripoff we watched, which was Woman in the Window, which sucked.
What?
Oh, yeah, with Amy
No.
Adams.
Hate it.
What
Yeah.
are you talking about?
That movie stunk.
No.
But this was a way better like did a way better job at interpreting Rear Window in like a different sense. Like that was literally just Rear Window with Amy Adams, where this is like Rear Window from like an AI point of view, during COVID, which is very relevant. So I thought I would hate that they brought COVID into it because I've always said like movies and television for me are an escape from like the real world, and like I never really wanted COVID to like be in there because then I'm not escaping, I'm just living life. But this did it well where I wasn't like jarred or like annoyed by it. So I thought it was okay. I'm kind of in the same boat as Joe where our conversation and the spoiler could sway me either way. But yeah, it wasn't too bad.
I definitely think like through kind of the talking, there's a lot of that I kind of agree. I actually do think I like the way they did COVID in this movie because I feel like it was more of a set piece than a focus. And it also kind of furthered the point of like, because I feel like during the pandemic, like agoraphobia became more and more prevalent because there is a real fear of like this new risk in society. And I thought that was done very well in the movie. I thought it was suspenseful. Like I did find like points where I was kind of on the edge of my seat, even though it was more of like an island movie to me, you know, because most of the movie is filmed within like the four walls of her apartment. She had an amazing apartment, by the way. I was like, did anyone else catch that?
Yeah.
I'm like, how?
That was pretty sweet. Like in Seattle, like, yo, what amygdala's playing well.
Yeah, that's got to be the
for-
job to have.
I was like,
I want to
those
be a
are
tech guy now.
huge windows. She has like a gigantic living space, room for like her living space wasn't just like a living room with everything packed in, you know. But
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
really
Yeah.
cool,
Beautiful apartment.
beautiful
I want it.
apartment. I would love to live there. No, but like I think her acting was very good, and even though she wasn't the most emotive character, like you'd think that kind of would drag the movie on because the movie is so focused around her, but it kind of uses the time to further explain her situation in like a very subtle way, which I think is good. I think they did a good job of storytelling. I do think that it dragged in the middle a little bit, and there was like a very quick, I'm not spoiling, but there was a very quick ramp up of action and then a very quick climax.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I think it was pretty good. This one, everyone said it felt long. This was an hour and a half runtime, like less than hour and a half runtime. So it was, maybe that's something that kind of takes away from it too.
Could be a pacing issue. Yeah.
But overall, I
Can
think
I
it was
add-
pretty good. Go ahead.
I just want to add one more thing on top of that, though, like, because we all touched about how Zoe Kravitz, like killed the role. She really held the movie together. I loved the whole like backstory and development that they gave to her, and we'll talk more about that in spoilers. Like, she really, I think, executed that well. The problem I feel like where I fell flat with this movie and why not like, oh, this was great, let's definitely like click play, is that like the plot didn't seem unique, really. Like there's a lot of like tropes and stuff that have been done before and haven't really like, it didn't seem like flushed out. It seemed like they spent so much time on her and her character without really building the world around them.
Yeah.
So that's where I struggle with, but excited to hear what you guys have to say about your decision.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other thoughts before we get into spoilers, or do we want to kind of just do our thing and jump right in? All right.
I'm good with diving in.
Yeah, let's dive in. All right, so before we move on, click play or keep scrolling. So let's start. I started with Joey. Let's start with Kevin, and we'll go back around clockwise on my screen, but it wouldn't make sense for the viewers. So continue, Kevin. You first. Go ahead.
Wait, so am I
You're
going
going
first? I'm so confused as to what you're
I
saying.
talk myself in circles.
I'm pressing play. I thought it was a good watch, and like, kind of like Andy said, put it on the background. Like, if you're just hanging out, it's a good Sunday movie. But yeah, I thought it was like good enough to get a little play action there.
Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna say click play on this one too. That Sunday movie. That's the best way to describe this. Like, this is hour and a half, commercial free. Like, this is a kickback, relax. You don't really have to put a lot of thought into it. We'll discuss the problems with it. But I think, I enjoyed it. I had a good time, and I think most people will.
Andy, does it get the chef's kiss though?
I don't know that I'm going to give it the chef's kiss. I think it was
Okay.
good, and it'll get, for the taco rating, I gave it a 3.5 tacos, which is like better than average. But this is, this is not a chef's kiss movie. This is a hey.
Okay.
I love that.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's a soft play in the right time and environment and circumstances, all the good stipulations to that. But I don't know, it's got its downfalls too, and I think that once we start digging into this one, I might go back and change it to a keep scrolling. But right now I'm going to say click play.
It's so hard for me to read you, Joey. Like, I feel like it's like you you take yourself on a roller coaster, and I'm like right there with you.
I liked it.
keep on your toes.
I didn't like it. It was okay. I liked it, and I didn't like it.
That is Joe every
I am
episode.
the most
Andy.
indecisive person with every decision in my life, so when it comes to this, it doesn't help.
It's very convincing, Joey. Like, again, like, I feel like I'm like, it's like you do like I kind of really liked it, but oh my, I didn't like this, Like, I don't want to, like, I feel like we're all kind of landing in a similar area, right? And like, I could definitely see this being a keep scrolling if a strong case was made, especially the pacing is something we should talk about. But overall, I think that like the character development, felt unique. I think the setting, even though it's a theme that's been done before, felt unique. Like, they took a different kind of run with it. I think that they did. Spoiler. I'm just gonna say for now, I am gonna soft click play as well. So we have 4 soft click plays. We'll see where we land at the end. Anything else before we move into spoilers? Cool. All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching this part of the podcast. If you want to listen to spoilers, please tune in to the second half